Oh, ladies and gentlemen, whoa, it's part 2 of your favorite daily StarCraft 2 content. The only daily StarCraft 2 content around, the Day 9 Daily. We are in the middle of our 519th episode of the Day 9 Daily, whereby we have been watching a great game between Thorzain and Empire Cass, where we are exploring 3 ideas that I have reiterated many times in part 1, but we'll go through them one at a time and make sure that point 3 is not the middle finger, because I flipped you the bird plenty of times playing Slender yesterday. Well, I was flipping the bird to Slender Man, but, you know, it's fine. One would be consistency of our build, making sure that that logic runs as a nice through line through everything we're doing, that we're not sabotaging ourselves by making some bad decision with what path we choose to go down. So again, consistency. The second one is map control. Num 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 num. Having total control over the space of the map, and again, the benchmark for it is whether we can send our grandmother safely to the center of the map. And the third one, shit, I put it at the end because I couldn't quite remember it off the top of my head. Reading our opponent. Yes, reading our opponent. Woo! Reading our opponent, figuring out WTF he's doing. Ugh. Good. Great. Cool, slick, suave, baller, bejugular. Let's go ahead and take a look at Empire Cass's opening and see what he's doing in the context of those 3 things. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
SCV ready.
So Empire Cass is going to be opening with a little bit more of a standard build. By the way, if you are going for this proxy thing in the middle of the map, do not build your supply depot here. Build it right there is a great spot, so that way he can go straight to mining minerals. Not a lot of people build it behind, but right here tends to be the fastest. Yeah, right there. This is the spot that is the I am going to conserve minerals and get my barracks up just a few games faster. Speeding it up because you know how to build SCVs, and if you don't, you're watching the wrong channel. Nah, you see, I don't know how to build that there SCVs. Well, don't worry. If you watch the Day 9 Daily, you'll be building all sorts of things real good. My tongue got caught up and I started to sound like an alien in the middle of that, but that's fine. So we're going to see our good friend Empire Cass do an opening that very much so looks at this point like an early expand. He's building a barracks at this low end of the base. Often this is a hedge against someone who's going to be floating things up here. Rather than build the barracks here and scout this region, we can just build the barracks in this region and be pretty comfortable that it's unlucky if he did fit a barracks and a barracks there. So Empire Cass is going to do the straight walk down. I still strongly recommend just tapping the watchtowers because sometimes players will mess up and build it too close in range. That shouldn't be in range. But even so, nothing wrong with the tap tap. It's kind of like when you're at the dentist and it's like tap tap, tap tap, tap tap, tap tap. Either way, Cass is going to be doing the scout. Oops, I didn't talk about the gas in time. Didn't talk about that gas in time. There's a trend for Terran players, particularly in this matchup, to delay this refinery. There's a really nice build, which is to go for 15 refinery, quite a late refinery, and then you can go command center and build your factory right on point. But this is a little bit of a delay. There are some builds that don't demand that you get an extremely fast X. You actually just want a lot of minerals rather than a really fast Banshee or a really fast factory. So players are delaying this just a smidgy bit.
SCV ready.
But that's not too big a deal. I just wanted to point it out. So that way you can read into it and freak out. Yeah. Cass continuing to build them depots. So Cass does what every player does at some point in his or her life. Scouts around and goes, there's no barracks in here. So, let's do the real basic act, responding to the threat at hand. We don't see any barracks in his base. We have the following 2 possibilities. He's building it by ours, or he's fucking awful. E.g. Thorzain. I would argue that he is not awful at this game. So I think it's safe to go through with that and assume that he didn't just forget a barracks. Don't you hate it when that happens? So he's going to assume that he's building it by our base. But again, we don't want to just do a snap knee-jerk reaction. We want to think what is best for our build. So looking at this, what would be the best response for our build? I'm going to be quite serious at this point. I'm not actually joking when I say what are the possibilities, because a lot of people are just like, bunker, I won the day 9 quiz of the day. Let's think about it. In this position where we're trying to get up tech, excuse me, we're probably going to be having our SCVs tied up building those tech buildings, SCVs tied up in our geysers. We really want to keep these SCVs back, so we'll probably be wanting to build a bunker. If we were, say, early expanding and we had a pretty good idea of where that barracks was, it is often a better idea to pull all our SCVs, not all of them, but pull a chunk of our SCVs and a Marine and go assault his barracks. Why is that? Because the resource we're low on is Marines, because we've delayed building them to get our expansion up. The resource we're high on is SCVs, so let's use them to go attack. Again, it's this idea of consistency. I've identified the problem that my opponent is posing to me, but what is the correct solution? So I actually do think that building a bunker is correct here. Again, with some early expand builds, pulling SCVs and not building a bunker can often be correct.
Upgrade complete.
In this circumstance, I just don't want you to fall into that trap of just building a bunker, derp, and then just doing that and having no thought put into it in the slightest. So we see Koss doing a very reasonable decision. He's just building himself up a bunker. He sees the Marauder there, or at least we did. There it is. He saw it with this Xel'Naga watchtower. So he's going to happily load right on up into here. He's going to be getting his factory. And we have now a second excellent read. Oh god, did StarCraft crash? Ah! Alright, I'm sorry. I have a problem with the USB port that my mouse is plugged into, I think, because sometimes it does that. But fortunately, I know the solution. If your ears were destroyed, I'm sorry. But that's okay. This is Halloween week, so I hope you got scared. Great. Now it's time for me to make sure my mouse feels good. Yeah, feels good. Okay, so we have an excellent read on our opponent. We got one read down here. There's nothing in his base. Okay, so he's probably doing some shenaniganry. Cool. But now we have another read. He went for this Marauder opening. I also think that maybe I might cancel Concussive Shell here, but I don't think that's a really big deal for Thorzain. Sorry, we'll come back to Koss. We're building our factory because that looked like it was part of our plan to get the refinery anyways. We're not going to go nuts and throw down a bunch of barracks right now. Again, that's not consistent. But it's time to do another big read on our opponent. If he is opening with Marauders, with a barracks by our base, he must be doing some kind of factory-based tech. Some kind of factory-based tech, right? Which means that probably he's going to be forced to go for a Viking. And I say probably because he doesn't have to go for a Viking, but he kind of does have to do some sort of factory-based tech. Why is that? Because if you try to go for a barracks-based defense, his most important barracks, the one with the tech lab, is going to die immediately. So he's going to have to rely on factory as a result. And if he goes for barracks, we're just going to kill him because he won't have that many units. Ha! So, in this circumstance, I think that Koss would be very reasonable to go straight for a Cloaked Banshee. There's nothing wrong with that. Our opponent will probably respond to this by going Viking Tank. We would gain map control by going for the Cloaked Banshee. We might not kill him with the Cloaked Banshee. We'll actually unlikely do tons of damage with a Cloaked Banshee. But His tech is delayed because he went for Marauders. He's forced to go Factory Viking, and if we go for a Banshee, we just get the map control. We just get him playing defensively and hold up for the most part, especially if he goes for tanks. So, that's a total possibility. But let's see what Koss does that's really cool. I really like this play. So upon being defended and watching this game initially, Koss goes straight for Reactor, which is pretty typical. I mean, there's nothing that's going to blow your mind about getting a Reactor on this barracks. He goes for a Refinery as well. So at this point in the game, I went, yep, Koss is going to be going for fast Banshee tech. Seems totally reasonable. Would probably begin to get up a high tank count of his own. But I liked this. Reactor goes down. Okay, cool. So perhaps he's going to be one-basing it a little bit longer. Getting a reactor is another way of saying I want to spend my minerals at an accelerated rate, which is another way of saying I want to delay my expansion. All good.
Our SCVs are under attack.
So I was honestly anticipating something that looked like a 1-1-1 at this point. I was like, yeah, he's going to be going for, you know, tank, marine, banshee, and he's going to get real aggressive. But then I saw this, and I was like, ooh, yeah. Again, without much knowledge, I'll actually show you, without extensive knowledge, here's the SCV trying to get up the ramp, and right here, it goes down, like literally right when this SCV is here, but I actually don't even think Empire Koss was looking there. I actually want to see.
You want a piece of me, boy?
He's looking around, he's sending his SCV up.
SCV ready.
Oh, I guess he did. Oh no, he did this with a hotkey. You know what? That's so close in timing, I can't tell if it's a direct response to it. I'm going to pretend that we know that it isn't. Whether it is that he saw the gas and built a reactor or not will have no effect on this play. It actually won't. I just want to remove that potential concern from you right away. But even so, Empire Koss is going for the double reactor play, which was like this, whoa, what moment? It's a what the heck moment. Now, I want you to think of everything that's going on here in terms of what we talked about in part 1, map control. My opponent has, you know, he's taken map control from me like a douche. If his factory is delayed, which it is, because he went for this opening,
Our SCVs are
whether he scouts it or not, you know it's delayed.
SCV ready.
So Koss is going to actually spend his initial gas getting up these reactors.
We could use some help.
Super sweet play. Yeah, he pushes back a little bit, it's not a huge deal.
SCV ready.
But now Koss is going to be just blowing a ton of money on Marine Hellion with a delayed Viking. Or a delayed Medevac. Just a delayed starport in general.
SCV ready.
And now Koss is going to be battling hard for map control.
complete.
Like, really hard. I've been trying to say things, but I'm trying not to cough so hard. Yes! Yeah, coughing! Alright. Now I can speak again. Yeah, so going for the double Hellion production, double Marine, this is going to shove back almost everything. We know that this barracks is gone. The only way our opponent could really defend is with tanks or bunkers. Or maybe with Hellion Viking of his own. In all three of those circumstances, we have gained map control. This is one of the most unorthodox, but one of the most consistent, clever answers to, to a player who opens up with his fast Marauder. We will gain map control. Guaranteed. We just have an overwhelmingly bigger force by ground. Now, I'm going to say one more thing. Alright, so we do see a tech lab going down here from Empire Koss. What is his mid-game going to look like? I have the hiccups. What is his mid-game going to look like? Are we going to see mech? Are we going to see active? Are we going to see passive? Are we going to see, like that sort of thing. Early upgrades, not early upgrades. The big thing that I'm looking at right now, oh god, is this double reactor. This necessarily leads into Marines. Why? You don't have enough money to go for double factory on reactors. Starport isn't going to need a reactor. The only reason we would get... damn it. The only reason we would ever get these reactors early is if we wanted to go for the Marines. So again, we want to think about this in terms of follow-through consistently. Cool. And this is this moment here is one of the big reasons why I chose this game, why I chose this replay, is that it's very uncommon to see this opening from any Terran. To see this double reactor play. It's so uncommon, but you can still conclude very easily. He must be going for a barracks focus mid-game. Very, very much so, because we're going to have 2 barracks on the reactor. And since we have a starport up already, almost certainly he's going to be going for some sort of control-based play where he has a lot of Marines with stim and is making medevacs. If I were in Kasa's shoes, this tech lab, for whatever he's going to do with the starport, after he's done making the cloaked Banshee or the non-cloaked Banshee or the Raven, I would lift this and build a barracks on this tech lab and a barracks on this reactor. And again, that ties into this idea that Kas is grabbing up map control. Speeding it up. So great. We see that the cloaked Banshee is incoming. Huge map control play right now. Literally not even addressing this barracks. I mean, it's not here anymore. He knows it, but he's not even going to tap by here, pick off anything. Just straight sprint on down to the enemy's base. And with map control, an expand goes down. Cool. Nice positional setup here. And very similar at the start of the game, Thorzain had control over the natural expansion with the Hellions. Kas now has control over the natural expansion with this Marine Hellion mix. Or excuse me, Thorzain had control over this with the Marauders. I do think that maybe there could have been some attempt to push up, but see, Thorzain has his theoretical, I thought I was going to have map control mixture holding the top. But Kas just snatched that map control a little bit too aggressively. And so here's Kas transitioning out of this control position, getting this barracks up here on this reactor. Again, I really don't think that this... I feel like this barracks should be built here. I mean, hell, even if you are building another Banshee, it's 1 minute to build a Banshee, and it's 1 minute to build a barracks, so he could swap it in time. I think this tech lab is extraneous. An attempted shove up, great, no reason not to do this. With all this talk of map control, never forget the basic premise that if you can go kill him, then go fucking kill him.
Add-on complete.
And Kas. This is a nice tactic. I don't think this is like a big global strategy thing, but I'll still note it. Pressure at the front distracts so that we can do this push at the back. Very rarely can you do a 2-pronged attack on a 1-base player. But Kas is going to be able to do it. Yeah! Now we have map control. Map control is so awesome. Here's another thing for consistency. If we do open with this factory starport play, we are almost certainly not going to be going Marine Marauder. We'll have to go mech. Why? We have had a barracks without a tech lab for way too long. And we don't have tanks. Tanks is really the only reason that you'd be able to excuse that long of a delay is because you were building up a huge tank force to go along with it. And a little massacre happens. That's pretty bad. Kas manages to do a reasonable amount of damage. And this is one of the big reasons why players will build two Banshees instead of 1, is so that way this Banshee can be there if this attack decides to come. But again, I still don't think that this is really necessary. This tech lab, this barracks finished right when this Banshee finished, so a little bit of griping and that sort of thing. But kind of cool, right? We literally just watched first 7 or 10 minutes of gameplay from two different perspectives, and there's a lot to talk about. We're almost even done with the segment for part 2. Oh, I will cross my eyes in disbelief. So, we're going to continue to rewatch this game. We're going to go through things at a little bit more of an accelerated pace because the show should end. And most of the real mind-blowing decisions at the start, most of the mind-blowing decisions really happen at the start in my eyes. So Thorzain is considering moving out with these. He's trying to get a little more map control. With this map control, he might want to do things like build an extra command center, build some armories, this sort of thing. Koss is going to continue to just force some of these units back, force his opponent onto the defensive, and Koss just builds a bunker. Completely reasonable. I don't have map control. I don't know what's coming. I gotta build a bunker. Koss gets really overexcited with Banshee. I would strongly recommend against doing that sort of thing. Again, we have a lot of add-ons that are just like going down. This starport could have started medevac production, and 2 could have been out instead of getting for this going for this factory with the reactor. But you know, no big deal. The general concept is just so good, just so damn good. So Empire Koss says, alright, in this moment, it's a pretty basic measure of consistency. If I'm staying home and defending, I can't move out until I have some of my upgrades done. Since I'm going to be at home, I may as well build something useful at home to defend. It's fine also to... it's arguable also that you could go for a second barracks right now and try to shove back to your opponent. But still, no reason to do a complicated play when we could do this simple, grab up another expansion. Similarly, Thorzain, I have gotten a lot of map control and forced you to be defensive, and I can see where all your units are, so great. I'm going to begin doing some long-term focus things too. Upgrades will come, and our good old command center will go down too. So now it's going to come back to a map control sort of thing. You're seeing how Koss opened up with a very nice map control play to get himself control of this expansion, to force his opponent back. Lost a Banshee, maybe didn't retreat in time with his Marine Hellion, but used the structure of his add-ons, a really important idea, using the structure of his add-ons to cleanly go into a big Marine medevac style play. At this point in the game, Thorzain didn't really get to use his Hellion Viking to do too much aggression. He didn't really get to do too much amazing with the map control. He was forced to stay back. But even so, he's going to begin to get his army up. He's going to begin to build more factories. But Thorzain really was looking for some way to maintain that map control. And often what you'll see is a player who goes for factory with reactor and a starport with the Viking will sneak in a third command center there. And actually, this is a good position to end part 2. When we come back in part 3, we'll see the conclusion of this game. Yeah, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Baby, 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 baby.